Hey, good day. Welcome to Lesson 17.1, Equations of Circles. Something completely different with a blast from the past from Algebra 1. Please take a moment now to copy down this equation of a circle. I'll cover what h and k here is in just a minute. We'll complete those notes. But copy this down. The equation of a circle with center h comma k and the radius r is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Take a second and write that down, and when you're done, go ahead and hit resume. So for our equation of a circle, the h and the k represent the coordinate value of the center of a circle on the coordinate plane, such as this example right here. Here's the circle, and then we're going to have the center. It's going to be an x value and a y value, which is going to translate to h and k. The radius is going to be equal to r, so we've got x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So let's start with our first example here. We're going to write the equation of a circle with our center at -2, 5 and our radius of 3 units. So all we're going to do is we're going to substitute this into the equation. With purple, I'm going to be doing the substituting in, and with the blue, I'm going to I'm going to do the green so we can contrast here. So I start with x minus. Now I input my h value again. My h value here goes with the x, and the k value goes with the y. So it's a -2, and because it's -2, I'm putting it in a double parenthesis here, then I square it, plus my y minus a +5 squared equals, and then my radius is going to be 3 squared. So here's my input values from here. Those are the ones I just inputted into the equation. Now I simplify. Minus a -2 is going to give me a +2. So it's going to be x plus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 3 times 3 is 9. And so there's our first equation, giving the center and the radius, is going to be x plus 2 plus y minus 5 squared equals 9. And again, we know what the center is. It's going to be the opposite value of what we got in here. So it's a -2, 5, and we know our radius is the square root of the r over here, which is going to be 9. Okay, example number 2. We've got our center at 4, -1, and our radius this time is a radical, the square root of 5. So again, plugging everything into our equation, we have x minus, and we're plugging in our 4 value here, okay, which is our h value, and then we have our k, x minus h, which is a 4, +4. I'm good there. Squared plus y minus, now here I've got to plug in a -1 equals, and again plug in my radical 5 here for the radius, and then squaring that. So now simplifying, I don't need to simplify with this because it's a positive, so x minus 4 squared plus y minus a -1 is going to give me a +1, and the square root of 5, again, square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is equal to square root of 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So now there's our second equation, x minus 4 plus y plus 1 squared, x minus 4 squared, keeps forgetting to say that, plus y plus 1 squared equals 5. Again, extracting the center, it's going to be the opposite value of what we see, so it's going to be a 4, -1, with the radius of the square root of what we see here. Okay. Our next example, now we are going to find the center and the radius. Given an equation. Okay, so now we're going to have to work backwards. And here's the equation we're going to get to begin with. X squared minus 4x plus y squared plus 2y equals 20. If you notice, we don't have anything near, well, we can't just put brackets around this. What we have to do is we have to complete the square. If you remember that from Algebra 1, great. If you don't remember it, we're going to do that here, but first we need to identify the b values because we are going to complete the square for that one and this one separately. So we're going to complete the square. And we need to complete the square because we have to get squares of these so we can factor them to become perfect squares like these up here. This is a perfect square. Okay, x minus 4 times x minus 4. Y plus 1 times y plus 1. If you remember from Algebra 1, we had to factor these. So we took the equation. So now we have to create a quadratic equation to where it becomes a perfect square so that we can extract the circle. And we do that by completing the square. We need to identify our b values. The b value here is going to be a negative 4. And the b value here is going to be a positive 2. Okay, remember, a squared minus b, or plus bx plus c is the formula for a quadratic. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So when I talk about the b value, we're looking at the one attached to the x variable that has the first degree. This is going to be squared, second degree. So then we've got the first degree, and then we've got no x value here. So we're looking for these two, which are our b values. And now we've got enough information to go ahead and start completing the square. Okay, I've rewritten this here showing that this is what we're going to need to use to complete the square. And to find what we put in for our c value, okay, is going to be b divided by 2. Okay? And we're going to square that. That's how we find our c value. That's why we needed our b. So our b value here is a negative 4. So we put a negative 4 divided by 2, and then we're going to square that to get our c value. You'll see how it works if you don't remember what completing the square was before. And then we have our 2 value here, so we have 2 divided by 2, and then we're going to square that. Now, when we add these, on the left side of the equation, we also have to add them to the right side of the equation. So we've got negative 4 halves over here. I meant to put this in green here so you could see it. So I'll put green in this one. So this was supposed to be green here. So we're going to add, if we add negative 4 halves squared to this side, then we have to add negative 4 halves squared to that side. If we 2 divided by 2 squared on this side, have to do 2 divided by 2 squared on that side. So let's go ahead and simplify it to begin with first. So now we've got x squared minus 4x, and negative 4 divided by 2 is going to give us a negative 2, and negative 2 squared is going to be a positive 4. So this 4, this is going to now become a 4 over here, I know that. And then I say plus y squared plus 2y plus 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. So I know now this is going to become 1 also. So let me rewrite my equation, 20 plus 4 plus 1. Okay? So now I know that I can factor this. I know it's going to become a perfect square, but I just want to do this to show you. Okay? Remember from factoring, we've got a positive c, but we've got a negative b, so we know we have x minus 2 times x minus 2, and that's going to give us negative 2x is negative 4x, and negative 2 times a negative 2 is a positive 4, so that factors out this way. And then y here, and we know we have a 1 and a 1, and it's a positive c, and this is positive, so we know that's it. We factored this to y plus 1 plus 1, and 20 plus 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So now we can rewrite it as x minus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 25. Well, now that I've got it in this form, I can now identify my h and my k. And remember, we take the opposite sign here. So my h is going to be equal to 2. My k is going to be equal to a negative 1. And I take the square root of 25 to find my radius, which is equal to 5. Okay? So now I write my center is h comma k, and my radius is 5. And there we go. So now I'm going to graph the circle. My center's at 2, 1, 2, negative 1, 1. Here's the center of my circle. My radius is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry, 5 to the left, 5 to the right. You can also do this on Desmos if you would like to. Okay, so I just plug this into Desmos. The equation we have, x minus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 25. And again, it will graph it for us. Our center is going to be over 2 to the right and 1 down, which here's our center. Okay, and we can actually do the center here by just plotting a point. X equals 1. Oops, that's going to give us a line. Stand by here. And there we go. Just put the center in there, 2 comma negative 1, labeled it, and now you've got the center of that circle. Okay, now moving on to our last problem here. We're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to complete the square, but this time we've got a 0 on this side, and look, oh, we've got a 4 here. But when we're completing the square, we have to leave the ax squared plus the bx by themselves and get rid of everything else. So the first thing I have to do is I have to subtract 4 from both sides. Rewrite my equation as if I'm going to factor it, completing the square. Remember, I'm going to need my whatever I do squared plus my y squared minus 4y plus my whatever my value is squared here equals a negative 4 plus whatever my first one is squared plus whatever my second one is squared. Okay? Now again, we need to identify our b values. Okay, our b value in this one, b is equal to a positive 6. Our b value in this one, b is going to be equal to a negative 4. So again, I take half of 6, which is 3. I'm going to square that. So, and then I take half of negative 4 and square that, and then I have to add them to both sides. If I add that to this side, got to add that to that side. And remember, I'm trying to create perfect squares here so I can get my radius and my center. So simplify it, x squared plus 6x, and I know 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. So now I've got this quadratic plus, now I'm going to do this quadratic, perfect square, 4 squared minus 4y. And again, negative 4 divided by 2 is a negative 2, and negative 2 times negative 2 is going to give me a positive 4 equals, now I have my negative 4 plus, this becomes 9, and this becomes 4. So these 4's are going to cancel out, and I'm going to leave that 9 here, and again this becomes a perfect square plus another perfect square, factoring it out, x plus 3, x plus 3, y minus 2, y minus 2, because I have negative 2 times negative 2, positive 4, negative 2y plus a negative 2y is negative 4y, and again 3 times 3 is 9, and 3x plus 3x is 6x. So I've done that perfectly. Now this becomes x plus 3 squared, and that becomes y minus 2 squared, and that becomes 9. So to find out all my stuff, remember I take the opposite value, whatever's in here, because it's x minus h, so this is actually a negative 3. And my k, because it's already negative, remember take the opposite value, my k is going to be equal to 2, and then my radius is going to be the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. So now my center is going to be negative 3 comma 2, and my radius is going to be 3. And again, I can hop over to Desmos and check my work and graph this if I need to. Okay, and plugging this into Desmos just like I did, labeling the center here because we found our center. Now, you can also punch in the original equation that we had. Watch what happens. There's the original equation we had, and look, it gives us the same exact circle. Technically, we actually had this, right? Plus 4 equals 0. That's the original equation we had. So, yeah, nice quick way to do it. The last section is writing a coordinate proof and actually proving or disproving that points lie on a given circle. You're more than welcome to open up the book and read this, or go ahead and try what's on the worksheets using what I've given you and just deducing that. And again, if you really would like to, this is optional. Go ahead and do it on the worksheets that are included. and reach out to me if you need any help. But that concludes our lesson for today. Thank you.